the kingdom of Glimmerlight, a place where magic and adventure are waiting to be discovered. In the eastern part of the kingdom, there was a quiet little village. And in that village lived an unremarkable little boy named Qing. Qing was short, and he spoke very softly. He wasn't good at running or playing ball games. But he had a kind heart and a pure will. And every day on his way to school, he would pass by a large tree at the edge of the village. It showed a path leading to the legendary rainbow fruit forest, a place filled with wonder and excitement. And inside that tree lived his best friend, a talking little fox named Ruby. One day, Granny Cat, the mysterious old woman who lived in a cottage made of yarn, she called out to Qing. She handed him an old notebook, an ancient artifact known as the Glimmerlight Adventure Notebook. That night, under the light of the full moon, Qing opened the notebook and a glowing map appeared inside. And so the next morning, with his backpack and Ruby on his shoulder, they set off on their journey to help everyone around them. To be continued in episode 2. See you then. The second episode of Ruby and the Magical Map. Following the map's guidance, Qing and Ruby arrived at the Rainbow Fruit Forest. But their peaceful stroll soon turned into a sneeze fest. Achoo. Achoo. What was going on? Their sensitive noses were reacting to the smoke from a factory across the river. The sweet scent from the factory was wafting into the forest, making everyone feel cheerful. But the smoke was making the birds sneeze non-stop. A flock of fluffy little sneezy birds flew past them. To fix it, Qing got the nearby villagers involved. After 2 days of hard work, the bridge was fixed. And with the help of some very grateful sneezy birds, they were able to reach the factory. To get to the factory, they had to cross the wobbly bridge. They had no idea the smoke was affecting the forest. Depeng's factory was now using solar fruit dryers, which made delicious dried fruit and didn't pollute. So he immediately turned off the machine and even helped plant rainbow air purifying flowers to clean up the mess. The owner, a mole named Depeng, was very apologetic. A week later, the air was clean again, and the birds were back to building their nests. As they walked away, the map glowed again, guiding them towards their next adventure. The third stop on their journey was the mysterious shape-shifting valley. The mountains here change shape depending on your emotions and words. So when you feel happy, the paths will be smooth and clear. But if you lie, thorns and fog will appear. As soon as they arrived, they heard cries for help. And when they followed the sound, they found 5 children stuck in a maze. These kids were from a nearby village. They snuck into the valley to pick the legendary rainbow bouncing fruit. But now, they can't find their way out. We came to help clean up, one of the boys said, blushing. Obviously, he was lying. Qing didn't call him out, though. Instead, he said, "It's okay. But if you want to get out, you have to tell the truth. The valley will know." The children looked at each other, and then they admitted that they lied. And as soon as they did, the fog began to clear, and the twisting path ahead of them straightened. They continued on, and at the end of the valley, they were rewarded with a beautiful view and a gift of rainbow stone, a token of courage and honesty. They thanked Qing and promised to never sneak off or lie again. And with that, the shape-shifting valley closed behind them. This is episode 4 of our adventure series. The friends were getting closer and closer to the fabled rainbow fruit. But first, they had to reach Flower Rain Town. And on their way there, they met a mysterious girl named Millie, who joined their group. She even helped out during the Festival of Glowing Flowers. She had once studied there, so she might be able to help them. She was kind and graceful, and seemed to know how to help everyone in town, from the old to the young. After the festival, Millie told them that she had heard rumors about Snow Bubble City, their next destination. Of course, they accepted, and the 3 of them continued on their journey together. The letter revealed that Millie was not just a traveler, but a princess on a secret mission. One night, while everyone was sleeping, Millie snuck out of the tent and wrote a letter under the moonlight. What will Millie's mission be? Find out in the next episode. This is episode 5 of the Crystal Chronicles. Leaving Flower Rain Town behind, Qing, Ruby, and Millie followed the shimmering crystal mark on the map. And after a long walk, they arrived at the most famous city in the North Snow Bubble City. But recently the bubbles had started freezing, and instead of drifting gently through the air, they fell like ice chunks, hurting anyone who went outside. Using her engineering knowledge, Millie quickly diagnosed the problem. And soon, the frozen bubbles floated away, carrying the light of 1,000 stars with them. The generator's temperature regulator was broken, causing the bubbles to freeze. The city was known for its floating bubbles, which were said to be filled with magic. The three friends met a panicked robot named Captain Rebby, who explained that the bubble generator had broken down. Working together, they repaired the generator and set up furnaces to keep the bubbles warm. I used to love skating on the frozen ponds as a kid. I wonder if I can still do it. To thank the heroes, the robot captain gave them a bottle of blessing bubbles, each containing a tiny recording of him saying, "May you bring the courage and hope to create change wherever you go." That night, as the friends prepared to leave, Ruby looked up at the starry sky and whispered, "I remember now." And with that, a new adventure began. To find out what happened next, stay tuned for more. Leaving Snow Bubble City, our heroes arrived at a peaceful meadow. But Ruby, a mysterious fox, couldn't shake the feeling that something was calling her. As she gazed at the stars, she had a vision of a shimmering pond and knew she had to go there. With Millie and Zhao Qing by her side, she ventured into the valley. She was awakened by Zhao Qing's kindness, reborn as a small fox. At night, the starlight pond was like a mirror, reflecting the sky. In the center was a stone ring that hummed with energy. As Ruby stepped onto it, she felt a surge of power. With newfound determination, she set off towards the next marker on their star map, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Her body glowed and 2 light patterns appeared behind her ears. She was a star guardian beast, a protector of the very stars. Memories flooded back. She remembered a time when she guided travelers to safety, but a devastating starfall forced her into a deep sleep. But her journey wasn't over. Ruby could feel it in her heart. What will they find at Cloudvale Trail? And what is Millie's connection to the Star Guardians? Find out in Episode 7, The Night of Truth. This is Episode 7, The Night of Truth. After leaving the Starlight Pond, the trio followed the glowing dot on the map to a peaceful little village called Cloudvale Ridge. The village was often wrapped in soft white clouds, as if it floated gently in the sky. They spent the night there. But while everyone slept soundly, Ruby lay wide awake, staring out the window. She had always felt that Millie was hiding something, not out of suspicion, but a gentle, intuitive feeling. That night, Ruby quietly slipped out of the house. She followed the faint sound of footsteps to the village entrance and stopped beneath a tree where she heard Millie speaking softly to a white carrier pigeon. "Please tell Father, I am safe. The lives of the people are real and moving. I will return to the royal city once this journey is complete." When she arrived, they looked at her with gentle eyes. Ruby gasped, only to turn around and bump into Zhao Qing, who had also quietly followed. "You heard it too?" Ruby whispered. Zhao Qing nodded. "I think I've suspected for a while, but I never asked. I wanted to see the real world, not just read reports from the castle." Her voice was quiet, like an honest child's. The next morning, Zhao Qing and Ruby sat by the river, waiting for Millie. "Millie, we know," Zhao Qing said softly. "You're the princess of the Kingdom of Glimmer, aren't you?" Millie froze in surprise, then slowly relaxed and nodded. "Want to hear Episode 8? The Garden That Forgot Time?" In this timeless garden, people have nearly forgotten how to live. Yes, I never wanted to hide it, but I didn't want people to treat me differently because of my title. The Millie we care about is the one who helps us fix bridges, brew tea, and apply bandages. Being with you makes me feel like I can be myself again. From now on, they would travel as their true selves. It's the first time I've truly understood what the most precious treasure of the Kingdom of Glimmer really is. We love you, not because you're a princess, but because you're you. Ruby jumped onto her shoulder and gently patted her with her tail. Millie's eyes shimmered with tears, but her smile was bright.
Thank you.
That day, they made a decision. No more secrets. The map shimmered with golden light, marking their next destination. A legendary magical garden said to stop time itself, the Garden of Time. Hand in hand, they stepped onto the path toward the future, not just as adventuring companions, but as a family bound by trust. Wasn't that chapter especially heartwarming? Up next is a mysterious and magical place where time no longer flows. The Garden That Forgot Time, Episode 8. Following the winding paths. They saw people yawning in pavilions, machines watering plants by themselves, and music boxes playing tunes automatically. Yet no one seemed truly present. Millie whispered, "Time hasn't stopped. People have just forgotten how to live at their own pace." Xiao Qing had an idea. He took out his trusty notebook and wrote a bold title, "One Good Deed a Day." Together, they built a kindness task board in the village square where people could write down simple acts they'd done. Wiping a bench clean, saying something kind, feeding a thirsty bird. Millie, meanwhile, painted illustrations of the good deeds and posted them at the garden gates each day. At first, no one paid attention, but Ruby used her starry tail to draw glowing designs on the board at night, making the children believe it was a wishing board. By the third day, flowers slowly began to bloom. By the fifth day, the fragrance of blossoms filled the garden. The map flickered once more at this time, pointing to their final destination, the Kingdom of Glimmer. By the seventh day, the clock's second hand began ticking again. Tick, tick, tick. "I think all the paths we've walked were leading us to this moment just to see these smiles," Millie said, her eyes shining as she watched children run laughing through the flowers. The garden responded to their efforts, offering them a glowing seed of time as a gift. Xiao Qing held the seed tightly, breathing in deeply. "Are we ready to go home?" Ruby asked. "Not just to go home," Millie said, holding their hands with resolve. "We're going to change the future." They're finally here. After witnessing the miracle of the Time Garden, Xiao Qing, Millie, and Ruby finally set foot on the road back to the kingdom. But when they arrived, they found that the Kingdom of Glimmer was in serious need of some serious cheering up. The markets were silent, the fountains no longer flowed, and the people walked with their heads down. "This is not the place I remember," Millie murmured. And so, with the help of her friends, Millie began to heal the kingdom. "You finally returned with real stories and true friends," he said, smiling. But the king, though his hair had turned white, still had the twinkle of wisdom in his eyes. That evening, Millie held an open hall day, inviting the townspeople to share their thoughts and ideas with the royal family. Music filled the streets and children painted pictures of hope across the plaza. He was passing the crown to Millie, and the Kingdom of Glimmer was going to have the greatest celebration ever. This was the moment he knew he had made the right decision to stay. One by one, the townspeople began to smile again. An old woman approached Xiao Qing and said, "Thank you for bringing hope back to this city." As Xiao Qing blushed and looked over at Millie, a warm feeling filled his heart. And as the sun set over the horizon, the king made two very important announcements. What? No, the wedding was not canceled. In fact, it was just getting started. To be continued in the next episode? This is a new chapter in the Kingdom of Glimmer. After several days of joyous celebration, Princess Millie and the brave Xiao Qing were getting married. The ceremony was beautiful, but what happened next was even more amazing. Everyone in the kingdom was invited to their wedding, and even time seemed to pause for a moment to honor this union. Instead of living in a palace, they chose to live in a small cottage. From then on, they ruled together, making the kingdom's library free for all and helping children chase their dreams. And they knew that even though the story is over, the legend will continue to shine in their hearts forever. They also started a tradition where everyone could share their stories and have their voices heard. Every night, you could see the three of them on a small platform behind the palace, gazing at the stars. Years later, when the children of Glimmer grew up, they remembered the kindness of the king and queen and the magic of the Starlight Fox.